Good evening and welcome to News. I'm Babs Egan.
And I'm Mike Robinson. We're here to bring you more than the up-to-date.
Tonight's special report, U.S. annexes Canada and Mexico. Here's our Washington correspondent, Peter Fend, with further details.
And we have here, for example, the Prime Minister of Mexico, who is wondering whether it would be to Mexico's advantage to join with us in a new 52-state nation.
Right.
Now, what is your objection, perhaps, to the annexation of Mexico by the United States? Do you feel this would somehow undo the last war of 1848, or?
No, not really. I think that the people would end up picking grapes in California.
Well, they already are picking grapes in California, as I understand. In fact, this would give them a minimum wage.
Oh, well, not much.
Not much of a minimum wage? What would you have to say about any military invasion or action in the Mexican territory?
Well, it depends on the invasion. If they use nuclear weapons, we have no chance.
Well, we may use other sorts of weapons, like psychological weapons.
LSD?
Well, I'm sorry to say that the State Department will be absolving its responsibilities in the Mexican sector, and we'll have to have the Defense Department assume the task.
Thank you, Peter, for your analysis. And now, we continue the story in the Far East, where Japan objects to the North American Confederation. We have the ambassador of Japan, Taro Suzuki. Taro, do we have that yet?
Since the termination of World War III, the U.S. has shown increasing hostility towards us. I refer, of course, to the recent incidents of sabotage of the Mizumaki pipeline and the terrorist activities directed against our diplomats. Now, however, with the proposed U.S. imperialist expansion over the entire continent of North America, the Pacific Federation must strongly protest. It is, as you say, the last straw.
Now, more on the U.S. military intervention in Mexico and Canada. Canada has been engaged in a long and bloody civil war that has plunged it into economic and social disorder.
Is that my cue? Thank you, Babs. The drought rages on. Where's our weatherman with the report? Are we ready with that report? Weatherman Jim.
Yes, by all indications we will have very severe drought this summer, the way it's shaping up. Now the whole eastern portion here will be evacuated by June, with the population moving out towards the Midwest to draw water from the Great Lakes states. And we have some footage back from the Great Drought of '81 that we'd like to show you, just to remind you what it is when the city goes dry.
Thank you, Jim. New humane methods of detainment for prisoners are in the works. A new pill has recently been developed to detain felons with the expensive employment of guards and prison walls, saving billions of dollars. With us is Dr. Mangler, inventor of the pill. Doctor, is it true that when the pill is swallowed, it lodges in the stomach lining and will detonate itself if the prisoner steps beyond an electrically restricted area?
It's true. It's very true. We have this tiny little pill here, which looks like this. Can we have a close-up on that? This pill, in the moment when it gets activated and which is swallowed by the prisoner, or we call him patient. And here we have a sender. When the patient goes out of the range of this sender, he will become unconsciousness, or if we gain the strongness of the sender, he will die. Here we have our little patient, and I can demonstrate you right now. This little sender is specially for this studio made, and it has only a range of a few feet. So if the person, he swallowed it already, this tiny capsule like this is probably here. You also can, come down. You can put it in the brain up here, or you can ingest it in bones every time. Anyway, I demonstrated that this goes for 4 feet. If he goes out of this range, he will collapse. Step on, little fella. Go up, step on. Take a few steps, please. Take a few steps. It doesn't hurt. You just come back. You take a few steps, but a little bit more, a little bit more. You see, it works perfectly. It's a perfect advice. We never use prison guards, weapons, walls, dogs. We don't need all this shit anymore. Just this little tiny pill. That's all. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And wait for my next invention.
Thank you, Dr. Mangler. Giselle Langkamp brings us a report on crime factors in the last decade. Giselle?
Thank you, Babs. In the early 80s, increased crime resulting from factors such as unemployment, inflation, drought, famine, and disease were responsible for the increased use of national law enforcement. During the early 80s, televising of court cases became legal. Abscams became legal. Political protests of one or more persons became illegal under the Kennedy crime bill. Tonight we have with us Mr. Gregory Lehman to discuss a new and important development that has recently come over the newswire. Mr. Lehman, what is the nature of this story?
Yes, Giselle, something terribly serious has occurred. The UPI wire has just announced something of drastic proportion. A grand jury in Washington, D.C. has handed down an indictment of major import. It appears that included in the indictments are former vice Iran SAVAK, the Philippines Secret Police, South African's intelligence agencies, Chilean Secret Police DINA, amongst others. The agreement encouraged the exchange of information between the various organizations, as well as an agreement that would allow for foreign agents to carry out assassinations within the United States, as well as provisions that would provide for the preventing of prosecutions in the event of any arrests.
And now back to Babs and Mike.
I'm Babs Egan.
And I'm Mike Robinson. We wish you a very, very happy evening.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, so I see.